Hello, everybody. This is my speech script, and it's called "The Scariest Roller Coaster." It's called life. Um, some people think the scariest roller coasters in the world are like the Fury or the Hulk or the Velocicoaster at Disney World, with the crazy highs, and then you drop down, do a couple flips in the air and stuff like that. But no, the scariest roller coaster is called life. And you get a ticket as soon as you're bored, and the ride starts as soon as you're born. Um, let's see. You should listen to the speech because everybody in this room has had a moment of where something went wrong, and you feel like nothing was in your control, and you feel really low. And learning from those moments is by far the most important thing. It makes us better friends, better partners, better students, better humans. You know, although life is cruel and unfair, and the struggles that I faced in life have made me stronger and wiser and more, I would say, more responsible. Um, I've experienced loss or betrayal, and there's a time where I felt like my future was kind of stolen from me. Um, and I want to share these with you guys because I want you guys to learn from my experiences of, what I've done. Um, there's steep drops in life, and those are called either failures, self-doubts, insecurities, and here are some of mine. So when I was 8, my birth mother, came into my life, and not too long after that, she passed away, and I kind of felt bad about it because I didn't really engage too much. I didn't think too much about it. I thought I would have more time, and she was taken away, and I didn't have that much time, so I can't blame myself on that one. Um, and with the grief that came with that, I kind of changed as a person, of being like a good listening kid to I would say class clown, like not really engaged, always talking, always being disruptive, stuff of that nature. In high school, mistakes piled up as well. Everybody makes mistakes in high school. That's why it's high school. But, embarrassing messages, um, being made fun of for your failures and stuff like that, losing relationships, having these, surviving these drops, has learned how fragile, life is, and trust. That's what I learned. The twists and turns of betrayal and isolations in middle school and high school showed me that my friends can't hurt you, the people that you don't expect. One of my friends thought it would be funny to post messages that I messaged a girl like 2 years before they posted it, and they were really bad. They were like embarrassing, really bad stuff. And I got made fun of for it. It kind of sucked. Because nobody wants, when you fail, but it even hurts more when people are laughing at your failures. Another one was when during my senior year, got into my first relationship, and didn't last that long, and then rumors started spreading because my ex spread them, and that also was not ideal, I guess. But the worst twist or drop came during my senior year, of where I was considered a threat to my school. I didn't really want to keep going, and I started talking to this one girl and started telling her how I feel, being depressed and stuff like that, and I asked her out, and she said no, and then I kind of just went all downhill from there, and, felt really off, never wanted to hurt anybody, just myself, but the school or the grade did not feel that way, and police showed up at my door. I was taken to the hospital. The police told me, hey, we're just checking up on you. You're not expelled. You're not in trouble. This, that, and the third. Next day, the school expelled me. They didn't call me at all to hear my side of the story. They just, caught wind. They were informed that I was going to hurt people, and they just pulled the trigger on that one. So I was packed up and shipped to the psych ward, and for a week there, stayed there, no contact, no really outside knowledge of what things were going on. So when I got out, I found that most of my so-called friends were making fun of me, and nobody really cared or checked up on me and stuff like that. There were some, and I'm glad to call them friends. But I felt abandoned, I wondered, that was my senior year. I had prom, I had a field trip to go to that I paid money for. I had my graduation, and I never got that. And, it sucked. It really did. I had like 3 months of therapy that I had to go through. It was like 3 hours for 4 days every week. It was god awful. And that was definitely my worst drop that I've had so far in my life. But these drops, they really taught me a lot. It taught me how important my family was and my faith, because those were literally my only 2 things I had for a little bit. It taught me, to who to trust, and really it changed me for better or for worse. I don't know. But, after that, the school did realize that, probably like a week after I got out of the psych ward, the school contacted and was like, hey, we're going to let you graduate online in secret, because they knew they pulled the trigger way too early, and they just kind of left me hanging out there. So I did graduate on time, but I did not graduate with like a real graduation. I had in just a piece of paper mailed to me. The third point is the climb of resilience and finding a purpose. Things did go up eventually. I went to a cruise after I graduated, and that was really fun. I met some cool people there, and I kind of keep in touch with those people. But those were really good moments. Your life does go back up eventually. It does take time and dedication. I mean, I like where I work, you know, it keeps me entertained, it keeps my mind off of things and stuff like that. Um, I, I did like, you know, I have started opening up, not so much now. At first I did, but, you know, these habits, they grow over time, you know, just like playing with the sport. You gotta practice them, you gotta get better at them. Um, you know, so the conclusion of my speech is that, you know, although life is cruel and unfair, the struggles I've faced have made me stronger and wiser and a more resilient person. If you can take one thing out of my stories and my trauma and my experience, is that failure and pain are necessary to teach you the values of life. You know, failures, they're called failures because you failed, and there's reasons why you failed, and then you learn from those reasons, and that's how you keep moving forward. And that's my speech.